We're doing it, and I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right, our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math, the burden of reading what the Rule of 40 is, the burden of being honest about what an enterprise software company is, or the burden of explaining to your friends that you're really happy. Maybe we should just stop talking about it. I'm very happy to have you along for the journey, and you are partners for us. Every Palantirian, we are crushing it. Everyone else who's listening, we are dedicating our company. We have dedicated our company to the service of the West and the United States of America, and we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare our enemies and on occasion kill them. And we hope you're in favor of that. We hope you're enjoying being a partner, and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing.
Alex Karp is the CEO of Palantir, a company that was named after those evil globes in Lord of the Rings that the Dark Lord used to spy on everyone. Like, are we not reading anymore? Peter Thiel founded this company and named it Palantir. Y'all, I don't know what more evidence you need that this company sucks. And I know, before y'all come for me, I know that was not the initial purpose of the Palantirs, but that is what happened.
Mr. Thiel, do you have any comments about Palantir's surveillance of the American people, sir? Or any of your connections to Jeffrey Epstein? I think people are rather concerned about that last particular one.
So you just saw Alex Karp on a call with some investors, shareholders, and he said in no uncertain terms, without a tinge of remorse or second guessing of his words, that sometimes Palantir will just have to kill its enemies. First of all, talking about disrupting industries as a tech CEO feels very 2010. Not every industry needs or wants to be disrupted, but whatever. Tech billionaires would never listen to someone like me because I don't have the vision the way that they do. And good for them. They've got way more money than I do too, but a big part of that has nothing to do with vision at all. A big difference between someone like me and Alex Karp is that I am not so nonchalant about murdering my so-called enemies. And let's even pretend that he's talking about killing them in the game of capitalism, right? Killing their companies, killing their bottom lines, killing their market access. It's still an insane thing to say out loud the way that he chose to say it. And that's another thing. What normal person refers to people as their enemies? None, I would say, but also no one is ever claiming that these billionaire types are normal or would even want to be perceived as such. The only time normal works for them is when they think they can make more money or earn influence off of that perception, off of that public delusion. And it works for a lot of them. Mark Zuckerberg was just a kid at Harvard who struggled to get laid. Relatable. Elon Musk was just a white immigrant with daddy issues. Relatable. Donald Trump was just a working class guy from New York who loves well-done steaks with ketchup. Relatable. But Alex Karp is next level insane in that he doesn't seem to have any sort of filter on his words. He says the most atrocious things without any kind of hesitation because he doesn't bother to play the game that so many other billionaires insist on. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop his company? He has the backing of the US government and then some. So here he was speaking at 92nd Y with Andrew Sorkin, promoting his book, The Technological Republic. He's talking about how hard it is to be a tech billionaire with a big brain and a high IQ, which is literally something from the show Silicon Valley, which parodies this entire industry and guys like this. But then he says this about his critics.
Love the idea of getting a drone and having light fentanyl-laced urine spraying on analysts who tried to screw us.
And sure, that's a snippet taken out of context, but the context doesn't really help. I don't know what context could help to make a statement like that more palatable. He gets a few laughs, so maybe we could say that this is a joke and the left can't take a joke or whatever, but see for yourself. The video is about an hour long. You can just go watch it. This bit comes in at around the 46-minute mark. He was actually asked earlier in the interview if he ever regrets the provocative things that he says or the way that he says them. And he basically just said that he's so authentic. He doesn't like offending people, but sometimes he has to, and that's understandable. I've got a mouth on me, and sometimes my mouth gets me in trouble. Relatable. But I don't think it's helping anyone to hear that this tech billionaire wants to spray them with fentanyl-laced urine. Who is that for? These tech guys, though, they love to troll. They're all just having a good time trolling the public, hiding behind their inflated egos, their billions of dollars, their corporate immunity, their entire lack of charisma, because you guys, they're just awkward. They're all just a bunch of nerds. They're just so much smarter than the rest of us that these jokey jokes that they make are several steps ahead of where our small brains are. They're so funny that only a small handful of terrible people actually get the joke. They speak like they're on Reddit. You know when some subreddits get so lost in the snark that the people in the thread can't seem to distinguish authenticity from sarcasm anymore? And so it's just an entire thread that just gets more and more nonsensical the longer you follow it. That's what this feels like. Palantir has always been a problematic company, though. In fact, Robert Reich recently called it the most dangerous corporation in America. The company markets itself as a data broker, and Karp is everywhere on podcasts and in interviews talking about the future of big data and how valuable it is and will continue to be in the future. They say that the company just compiles personal information from a variety of online sources. But is that what they're really up to? Shouldn't we know what they're really up to if our government is using the tech? Specifically, ICE is using the tech, the Department of Defense is, and of course the Israeli military is, which is basically an extension of our government. An article in Wired from last August says this about the company's seemingly intentional misbranding. Palantir has been so infamous for so long that for some people its name has become a cultural shorthand for dystopian surveillance. But a number of former Palantir employees tell Wired they believe the public still largely misunderstands what the company actually does and how its software works. Some people think that it's a data broker that buys information from private companies and resells it to the government. Others think it's a data miner constantly scanning the internet for unique insights it can collect and market to customers. Still, others think it maintains a giant centralized database of information collected from all of its clients. In reality, Palantir does none of these things, but the misconceptions continue to persist. Unfortunately, pinning down what the company actually does is more complicated than it really should be, not just for dumb lay people like us, but even for ex-employees. Within the company, obfuscation is built into its day-to-day operations, with military-adjacent code words used to describe job titles and to replace common workplace jargon. Even keeping with the Lord of the Rings theme, its employees are sometimes referred to as hobbits, and the company's battle cry was to save the Shire. In Lord of the Rings, the war that was being fought was against an evil lord who wanted to take over all of Middle-earth. The story was about fighting for goodness sake, because goodness in this world is worth fighting for. But one somewhat significant criticism of Lord of the Rings in general is its emphasis on fighting for the West. Personally, I don't think Tolkien was trying to be racist or imperialistic with any of this rhetoric, but in many contexts, it can be taken as racist or imperialistic, and one of those contexts happens to pertain to Palantir. In response to a detailed request for comment from Wired, Palantir spokesperson Lisa Gordon said in a statement that the company is proud to support the U.S. government, especially our war fighters, and that it has never wavered in its founding mission to support the West and empower the world's most important institutions. Alex Karp has echoed these sentiments time and time again. It's too bad Israel's in the Middle East, but the East is more of just like a vibe these days. But here's Robert Reich giving as much of an overview into Palantir as he's able to.
It sells AI-based data platforms that let their clients, including governments, militaries, and law enforcement agencies, quickly process and analyze massive amounts of your personal data. Whether it's social media profiles, bank account records, tax history, medical history, or driving records, the tools that Palantir sells are used to help clients identify and monitor individuals like you. Why should this matter to you? Billions of your tax dollars are going to Palantir, and what Palantir is working on could be used against you. Early in his current term, Trump signed an executive order requiring government agencies to consolidate all of their information about you into one giant database, something that has never been done before. To help process this massive amount of information, Trump chose Palantir. Trump claims this is about efficiency, but as one Silicon Valley investor described it, Palantir is, quote, building the infrastructure of the police state. Data privacy experts warn that when government data is pooled together, it can be used by a tyrant to intimidate or silence opposition. The possibilities for abuse are huge. One of Palantir's major projects is a new immigrant surveillance system for ICE's deportations. We've already seen Trump target people or organizations he considers enemies. Imagine if he could punish or deny services to individual Americans based on their political affiliation, whether they've attended a protest, or even posted an unflattering picture of him online. Palantir could be giving Trump the power to do just this.
This video was released about a month ago, by the way, and even since then, there have been significant escalations in the brutality we've seen wielded against the American people, against American citizens. From the moment Trump sent the National Guard into American cities, this was always the plan. This was always the goal. And this, it seems, may just be the beginning. Considering our absolute dependency on the tiny technologies that we keep in our pockets and our absolute addiction to social platforms where we willfully put our personal information about ourselves and our families, we, even as the masses, are outmanned and outbought. We've become numb and lazy and hopeless. We feel helpless, and all of that is by design. All of that was intentional. We know that these tech companies designed the tech in the interest of keeping us scrolling. They even called it doom scrolling and said that we were rotting away, and we all just embraced those terms as cynical but accurate descriptors of our new day-to-day experiences. And maybe it's too late for all of this, but separating from our phones is probably a good place to start. It's hard, but we can't just hand over our autonomy to despots who want to control us without a tiny bit of effort. And by the way, Peter Thiel doesn't believe in democracy because democracy empowers the masses that he does not respect. And he also doesn't seem very concerned that his technology could bring about the end of humanity. Be a Sam, be a Frodo, be an Aragorn, even be a Boromir, but don't be a Peter Thiel and don't be an Alex Karp, all right? That's it for me. If you got anything out of this, please like the video and subscribe to the channel for more. Thanks.